Okay, pfSense firewall configuration. As we can see from the menu, we have firewall menu here and then aliases. And as you can see here, in this page, we can configure IP address, ports, URLs, and any type of configuration related to firewall. Okay. Let me tell you, first of all, what is very important to consider is that you should know that an alias in pfSense firewall refers to a user-defined label, okay, for a list of IP addresses, networks, ports, and just to simplifying firewall rule management, okay. And we can simplify it by creation new rules, okay. But first of all, we should define alias, okay, and aliases allow administrators to create firewall roles using descriptive labels rather than individual IP addresses or ranges. So making roles easier to management and understand. So imagine that we have a pfSense firewall and we are going to configure firewall based on IP addresses, okay, from the local area network, okay, to wide area network that we are going to have configurations for firewall. So you can configure based on IP addresses or any type of network that you have, a range of network, okay, in firewall configuration. And you know that, let me show you from here, firewall rules, and from here local area network, for instance, and then just add, and from here just action, pass, or block, okay, and interface and address family. And then you know that the source, and from here the list, as you can see here, network and address or alias, okay. But first of all, we should define alias, okay, and from here we can define it, okay. If you just add for instance like this, you can define alias. But we should know that about alias, I should say that aliases can be dynamic, meaning they can automatically update to reflect changes in the underlying IP addresses or network, reducing manual maintenance effort. So it means that instead of configuring the firewall, first of all, you should configure alias. For instance, you're going to say that host number 1 with this IP address. And then for firewall configuration, you can say that, for instance, the source is host 1 and maybe destination, okay, destination is anywhere, okay. So imagine that you're going to change the IP address of host 1, and in alias, okay, if I change just the IP address, automatically we have all the configuration updated. It means dynamic update, and I will show you how to configure it. But right now, just to know that aliases enable the reuse of definitions, okay, across multiple firewall rules, promoting consistency and reducing redundancy in rule configurations, okay. And types of aliases, pfSense supports various types of aliases, including a single host, okay. We can obviously configure just one IP address, okay. For instance, we have just one server, one client, and then we can configure, okay, IP addresses of each clients and servers, okay, one by one. And or configuring network CIDR notation, okay, and port numbers and URL tables and like that, okay. And to just providing flexibility in definition in defining rule criteria. And nested aliases, okay. Let me show you first of all how to define it. Imagine that I'm going to define alias, okay. From here just add, okay, and then name it, for instance, host number 1, and any type of description here, but host IP address. And from here I'm going to configure IP address like this, okay, and save it. As you can see here, right now I have host number 1, okay, with the IP address. I can have obviously other configurations for host number 2, okay, like this, and just save it, okay. And then imagine that you're going to have another definition, another alias for your local area network and the range. Imagine that you have multiple local area network different ranges, okay, in your network, local area network, okay, subnets A, subnets B, and subnet C. So you're going to define different groups for local area networks that you have, okay. So from here, I can just add another alias. Imagine that for local area network, okay, maybe sales department, okay, and then network range for that network, or fully qualified domain name, in this case just network, okay, and the ranges, imagine that the range is like this, okay, and 30 and 24 from here, okay, and just save it. And the format should be obviously like this, okay, sales department, and like this to save it, okay, and you will see that we have a range like this. Or sometimes we have nested aliases, okay, and what is that? Administrators can create nested aliases, allowing them to group multiple aliases within a single alias definition. And when you are going to imagine that I'm going to have a sort of configuration for just host 1 and 2, okay, and from here I can add a host number 1 and 2 like this, or any type of name you're comfortable with. And from here just you choose host, and from here you can type host 1, okay, you can see host 1 and add another one, another host, host 2. So instead of configuring IP addresses, I'm just using host 1 and 2 alias, and it means nested alias, okay, and save the configuration, and I have host 1 and 2 with the configuration, with the dynamic configuration, I should say host 1 and 2, and you can see the IP address. If I change host 1 IP address, automatically we have all the configurations updated in not only alias but also in firewall rules if you are going to define. So when you configure it from here, after that from firewall rules, okay, you can have a rule for local area network. Imagine that just a simple definition to action pass and interface local area network, okay, and protocol, maybe any from here, and source you can have it from here, okay, address, and then host 1 and 2 like this. You can see it's so simple, and destination any, and just save it, okay, and like this. So right now we have a rule for host number 1 and 2, so with the IP addresses that we configured, okay, and destination anywhere, and you can see it's so simple with alias to configure, have the configurations, okay, like this. And about alias usage, you know that can be used in firewall rules for source and destination addresses, okay, and ports and other criteria providing control over traffic filtering and forwarding decisions. And about integration, aliases can be used in conjunction with other pfSense services, which is very important. Imagine that you're going to configure NAT, okay. So from here, firewall, NAT configuration, and from here, outbound, okay, you can add another one. And WAN interface, I'm going to have the configuration, okay, and the source from here, okay, I can define it with a network or IP address, or if I have alias for that, I can configure with host 1 and host 2 like this, okay. And from here to just NAT, the translation for wide area network, okay, and just save it from here and apply it, okay. You can see that source is host number 1 and 2, means IP address 1, 101, and 102, okay, like this. And okay, it's so simple to configure. And for other configurations for virtual private network traffic shaping, which is very important, and we will see how to configure it. It's so important to know how to configure alias and then how to use it, okay. Okay, enhancing overall network security and management capabilities. And ease of management, obviously, with using aliases reduces the need to update multiple firewall rules individually when IP address or network changes. You have any type of changes, okay, host IP addresses, network IP addresses, and like that. And about visibility and documentation, when you're going to document anything in your network, especially in the network and security, when you are going to have documentation and visibility, obviously you know that, okay, this range for sales department, that range for accounting department, and this host IP addresses with this type of alias, okay. And if you have nested alias in security configurations, you know that, for instance, a group of hosts, okay, to have access, groups of hosts to have access to maybe a destination like I don't know, maybe to YouTube services, or another type of group to just to some sort of websites, okay, and like that. So well organized aliases improve the visibility and documentation of firewall rule configurations, and making it easier, obviously, for administrators to understand and audit network security policies.